It is one of the safest cars in the Indian market. It is also one of the most stylish hatchbacks currently on sale in India. Well, I'm talking about the Tata Altroz. The Tata Altroz has been around for a while now. It was first launched in January 2020 and Tata has since sold more than 1.25 lakh units of the Altroz, and now at long last there is an update, an automatic gearbox update to the Altroz. Hello and welcome to DriveSpark. I'm Stephen Neal and this is the Tata Altroz DCA. DCA here stands for dual clutch automatic, so basically it gets a dual clutch transmission. What are the other differences that this model comes with, and what sets this gearbox apart? What makes this DCT unique? Let's find out. Before we get to driving the Tata Altroz DCA and telling you what that DCT in there is all about, let's talk a bit about the design. And well, Altroz, well, as you can see, it looks just like the standard Altroz. There's nothing much to differentiate it from the standard Altroz to tell you that this is the automatic variant. This has a DCT in it, at least from this angle. So you've got the same wraparound headlamps, you've got the same sporty yet premium looking bumper with the fog lamps integrated into it. You've also got the LED DRLs, as you can see, and then you've got the blacked out grille up front with the chrome humanity line. And of course you've got the hexagonal pattern in the grille as well. So the front end looks exactly the same, and so does the side profile. It carries over the same 16-inch wheels that look really nice. It's found on the top end model of the standard Altroz already, and you can find it on the DCA as well. And then you've got the black strip on the window line, and well, of course the entire profile looks exactly the same except for this color. So this color is brand new. It's called Opera Blue, and apart from this you can also get the Altroz in 5 other colors. So from the front end and on the side, it looks exactly the same. Let's check out the rear end and see what the difference is there. At the rear too, as you might have realized already, there's not much of a difference compared to the standard Altroz. So it looks exactly the same. You've got the same sloping roof line, you've got the blacked out spoiler, blacked out roof as well, because this is the top end model, of course. Also you've got the Altroz badging and the Tata logo. The top half of the tailgate is blacked out, and the bottom half of course is covered in the Opera Blue. You've got the stop lights at the bottom and on top as well. So it looks pretty much the same except for one small detail, and that is this badging right here. This is the DCA badging, and this is the only thing on the outside that will tell you that this is not the manual model but is driven by an automatic gearbox, the DCT. Now having said that, let's talk a bit about the boot space. So you've got a request sensor under the Tata logo here, so you can use that to open the boot, or you can use the key fob to open the boot as well. So there you go, you've got the audio warning that the boot has been opened, and here is the boot. It's a 345 litre boot. As you can see, we've got a backpack in there. It's a pretty sizable backpack, so that takes up only a little bit of the space. It's pretty spacious. The boot floor is flat. The loading lip might be a little high, but it's not a struggle at all to put anything in there. And that pretty much sums up the rear end of the Tata Altroz DCA. It's time to go check out the interior and see if there's any difference in there. You join us inside the Tata Altroz DCA, and there's one blaringly obvious difference in here, and that is this gear lever. So the Tata Altroz was until now available only with a manual gearbox, and now you get this DCT transmission in here. So you've got the DCT gear lever. Also you've got this center console over here. You've got your gear modes. So you've got your park, reverse, neutral, drive and manual modes marked on here. Also this gear lever gets the upper part finished. You've got this element with the tri-arrow pattern on here. It looks really nice, it looks really premium, and the rest of this interior too looks premium. Of course there's not much of a change. There aren't any changes actually compared to the top end model of the standard Altroz. So you've got the same tri-tone dashboard as well. You've got the upper part finished in a shade of black with a certain pattern on it, and then you've got the center part finished in this silver. It looks really nice. It enhances the overall feel, the premiumness of this hatchback. And then the bottom part is, it gets a shade of beige, and of course it is hard touch plastics only in here. When you get to the center of the dashboard, center stage of course is taken by the infotainment system, the touchscreen Harman infotainment system. So this is a 7-inch unit. You get lots of features on it. You get Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Of course it is wired only, so you do not get wireless connectivity for these two features. Also, once you've connected your phone to this system via the USB port down here, you can access a lot of features like your music apps, you can access your maps, you can access navigation through your phone. so all the functions are done through your phone. Other than that, you've got lots of other features like you got your radio, voice command, etc. Voice command is yet another very useful feature. So you can either activate voice command through the touchscreen or through the steering mounted controls. So that's another useful feature. Increase AC.
Sure, increasing AC to 20.
So it's a pretty nice infotainment system, and that produces sound through 8 speaker Harman premium audio system. The audio system is great. Of course, it is not top notch. However, in its segment, it can hold its own. So that pretty much sums up the infotainment, and then let's get to the center console. So you've got your controls for your climate control here and air conditioning, and of course there's one little button that I want to draw your attention to, and that is this express cool button. So upon pressing that, it turns on the air conditioning at full blast, and then it rolls down the windows, allowing the hot air inside to escape. That's a very useful feature if you parked your car in the sun and you let it and you get in, so you want the cabin to cool down quickly. You have one button to do that for you. And then the center console is pretty much straightforward. The gear lever is surrounded by this unique silver element, and then you've got your cup holders here, and this is also a unique feature. So you've got this shaped handrest, and of course lift it to reveal a little cubby hole. Not very sure what you can place in here, but of course you will find something to put in here. And of course this can be slid forward or backward according to your driving preferences. And that pretty much sums up the center console. Now coming to the steering wheel and the cockpit, so the instrumentation is handled by an analog digital setup. So the analog part is only comprised of the speedometer. There's nothing else that is analog on this instrumentation. The digital part of it, of course, is a color TFT screen. It's a 7-inch unit again, and towards the left part of it you've got the tachometer. That looks like it is analog, but of course it's displayed on a screen. And then you've got your gear position indicator, and then you've got your screen where it displays a lot of information, including what is playing on the infotainment, what is playing on the stereo, and then you can toggle through it using the buttons on the steering wheel. And there is one mode where it displays the power and torque currently being generated, depending on the engine RPM. So that's another cool feature to have. Now coming to the steering wheel, it's a really chunky steering wheel. You've got lots of grip to hold it, and then it's a flat bottom, of course, so it feels a little more sporty. It feels very premium indeed, and this is a very nice place to be in. The seats are comfortable. I do not see any problem in doing long distances, long hours in this seat. You've got the tri-arrow perforations, so ventilation also shouldn't be a very difficult thing. Yet another thing worth mentioning is the door pockets and the storage it offers. So you can store a lot in here, including 1-liter water bottle, because the door panels themselves are dual tone. So you've got the beige and the black finish on it. You've also got the aluminum finished door handle, and if you want to rest your arm on the door pocket, so you've got the fabric cover over here, so that gives it a very soft place to rest, and that should be very comfortable over longer distances. Now finally, before we move to the rear seat, let's talk about the glove box. So it's accessed via this little button here, and when you open it, so you've got your space to place your vehicle's documents, and then you've got little cup holders over here that can be used by the front passenger, of course. And then yet another important feature is that this is a cool glove box, so you can store your drinks in here or what you would like to keep here because it is cool. Now it's time to go check out the rear. The rear seat of the Tata Altroz DCA is another nice place to be in, so it offers a lot of premium feels to those who sit here, especially for the price that this car is sold at. Now coming to the seat feels a lot more premium. Of course, it's not as soft as the front seats are. It feels a little more rigid compared to the front seat. However, it does feel very premium indeed. You've got the same tri-arrow perforations for both sides. However, the center passenger doesn't get it, so it can get a little more sweatier at the center. However, there's another thing to avoid it, and that is the rear AC vents. So you get rear AC vents dedicated for the rear passengers, and of course you can adjust it as well. You can adjust the airflow as well as the direction it flows in. Also, you've got a 12-volt socket, so you can keep your devices charged on the go. yet another thing that is worth mentioning is that it gets a flat floor, so there's no transmission tunnel in here, and that simply leads to a more comfortable ride, especially for anyone who sits in the center. Now if there's no one to sit in the center, well, of course you can fold down the armrest, and this, as you can see, is pretty wide. It's got a good area and is made of soft material, so it's a pretty comfortable place to keep your hand on, keep your arm on. And of course, if you want to make things more comfortable for yourself, you can use the headrest, adjust it to the desired height, and well, you can relax in here. So it's a pretty nice place to be in. Of course, you've got deep door pockets here too. You can place a 1 liter water bottle in here, which is pretty good for a rear door. So that brings us to the end of the interior section of this review. Now it's time to go find out how this vehicle drives and if the DCT gearbox makes a huge difference indeed. When it comes to the powertrain, the Tata Altroz DCA is one of the most unique cars on sale in India. It is the only car to feature a dual clutch transmission paired with a naturally aspirated petrol engine. All the other DCTs in the market are paired with a turbocharged engine. Given this unique combination, we were a little skeptical about the hatchback's performance. The engine in question is Tata's 1.2 liter Revertron naturally aspirated 3-cylinder petrol engine. It has a maximum power output of 84.8 bhp at 6000 rpm and a peak torque output of 113 Nm at 3300 rpm. These figures are not really stellar. You do get the clatter that is typical of a 3-cylinder engine. Rev it though and the soundtrack changes pretty quickly. Slot it into drive and the Tata Altroz DCA moves ahead without any drama whatsoever. It is quiet and we could make out that this gearbox was going to be a boon in traffic. It is a 6-speed DCT unit which once again is out of the ordinary. Usually DCT gearboxes have 7 speeds. Rather than going all out on high performance, Tata has tuned the gearbox to be economic and fuel efficient at lower speeds, as long as you don't floor the throttle. When you pin the throttle pedal though, the gearbox is quick to shift down once or twice depending on the speed. Then comes manual mode with its increased control over gear shifts. Push the lever into M and the gearbox immediately downshifts, thereby increasing the engine speed. In this mode, the gearbox seems like it is raring to go. Gear shifts are very quick and the gearbox is very likable indeed. The new gearbox has been engineered very well by the boffins at Tata Motors. It gets a single lay shaft instead of 2 lay shafts, which is the norm in all DCT gearboxes. As a result, there are fewer moving parts inside the gearbox and is thereby less complicated as well. When one is driving a car with a DCT gearbox, there is an underlying expectation that the car will accelerate quickly upon downshifting, and then there's the expectation that one can shift through the gears really quick to get the best acceleration. Well, these expectations will be met with disappointment in the Tata Altroz DCA. The gearbox does its duty absolutely perfectly. When you ask it to downshift or upshift, it does so immediately. However, that rapid acceleration is missing thanks to the naturally aspirated engine. This gearbox requires a turbo petrol engine for one to extract the maximum performance out of it. Strangely enough, Tata already has a turbocharged petrol engine that does duty in the Altroz iTurbo. It produces 108.5 bhp and 140 Nm, which should lead to great performance, especially when paired with a dual clutch gearbox like this 6-speed unit. Apart from the difference in performance brought in by the new gearbox, everything else on the Altroz DCA remains identical to the standard Altroz petrol. It is not the best handling hatchback out there, however, it still won't leave you disappointed when you chuck it into a corner. Body roll is controlled and the well-balanced suspension gives you a nice drive. Braking is among the best in the segment and you do get a great feel from the brake pedal. The choice of tires though could have been better. The Goodyear Triple Max 3 tires aren't the grippiest and can therefore reduce your confidence by a small margin at higher speeds. To sum it up, the gearbox is great and the fact that you can finally get a Tata Altroz with an automatic is brilliant. However, it desperately needs a turbo petrol engine. At a starting price of Rs 8.09 lakh, the Tata Altroz DCA is by far the most affordable DCT driven hatchback in the country. In fact, its closest rival, the Hyundai i20 Turbo, is priced Rs 1.7 lakh higher than the base variant of the Tata Altroz DCA, and that is a huge margin. Now, at the same time, we do wish for this to come with a turbocharged engine. Of course, Tata has the iTurbo engine, and that is a very potent engine. Pairing that engine with this DCT gearbox is going to make for a brilliant hatchback, and we are waiting for that. Having said that, the Tata Altroz DCA is more value for money than you can imagine, and well, this was our take on this hatchback. Do let us know in the comments what you thought about the Tata Altroz DCA, and if you have any queries regarding the hatchback as well, do let us know in the comments and we will make sure to answer them for you. That's it from us for now. Thank you for watching. This is Stephen Neal signing off for DriveSpark. Stay safe and drive safe.